Projection protects identity. It is, boom, the mask, right? I'm a good person, I'm disciplined, I'm loyal, I'm not insecure, but secretly you're jealous, you feel threatened when someone else succeeds, you compare yourself constantly, you feel lazy, so you avoid hard things and procrastinate, competitive. You compete against other people. You feel uneasy when someone in your circle levels up before you do. Angry, resentful, all those things. So the ego can't reconcile.
Nailed
yes, that, because admitting those feelings threatens the mask that you've built for yourself, right? So instead of integrating that feeling, it relocates it. Where does it relocate it? To someone else, right? It says, they're the jealous one, they're the insecure, controlling, lazy, whatever, right?
Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation Podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in.
Have you ever been absolutely certain someone else was the problem? Certain they were jealous, controlling, lazy, insecure, manipulative, certain their behavior triggered you because of who they are? What if I told you?
Bum, bum, bum.
Sometimes the thing that irritates you the most is the thing that you're refusing to face in yourself.
Not sometimes, all the time.
Today we're talking about projection, the unconscious defense mechanism that quietly protects your ego by outsourcing your discomfort. This one's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A little humbling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but necessary.
Right? So let's talk about the psychology of projection. Projection is an unconscious defense mechanism where a person attributes their own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, impulses, or traits onto someone else, right? So in just easy terms, if I can't see it in you, I don't have to face it in me.
Right.
Right? So here's a story, because Johnna just did some projecting a couple of weekends ago. So this is a real life story of projection. All right? So, and I had this epiphany on the podcast. So those of you who listen all the time already know this story. We went to a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and every 30 seconds, I was asking Clint, how are you? How are you? And he was like, I'm fucking fine, dude. And the reason why I was asking him that question is because I was not okay. But I was projecting that feeling onto someone else, right? Like, I wasn't feeling regulated or okay for certain reasons. And then I wanted to like force the I'm not okayness out of Clint, right? Because, and then in my mind, I started becoming like a detective. Well, why is he not okay? Blah, 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 right? No, he was fine. I was not fine. That is a real life example of projection, right? So let's get into this. Projection protects identity. So it is, boom, the mask, right? I'm a good person, I'm disciplined, I'm loyal, I'm not insecure, but secretly you're jealous, you feel threatened when someone else succeeds, you compare yourself constantly, you feel lazy, so you avoid hard things and procrastinate, competitive, you compete against other people, you feel uneasy when someone in your circle levels up before you do, angry, resentful, all those things. So the ego can't reconcile.
Nailed
yes, it. That, because admitting those feelings threatens the mask that you've built for yourself, right? So instead of integrating that feeling, it relocates it. Where does it relocate it? To someone else, right? It says, they're the jealous one, they're the insecure, controlling, lazy, whatever, right? So then your ego is clean of that. And the discomfort gets outsourced, because actually holding that mirror up is, it forces you to take the mask off. And we all do this, okay? And when you become aware of it, then you can really start to hold yourself accountable. The problem is we're living in a population that doesn't want to do that, a huge swath of them. So being able to identify that in yourself, and then being able to identify that within others, makes you, be able to navigate life better, in my opinion.
I think it's really important to keep in mind as we're going through that. I think there's some sort of general understanding of projection.
Yeah.
But I think what gets lost is exactly the story that you opened with. Because the natural connotations of projection are very negative. Like somebody is, a piece of shit or an asshole, and they're projecting that onto you, and that's how you feel it. But it can also be those feelings of, oh, I'm not right. It's not always such an overtly negative thing.
Sure.
When we get into recognizing it in yourself, I think that's an important thing, because it's not just an opportunity to modify your character or modify your behavior, but it's also an opportunity to really look inward. Like,
that's what all of this is.
I'm projecting. Yeah. It's not just I'm projecting being an ass. It could be, I'm projecting my fear. Yeah. I'm projecting my insecurities or my, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different layers of projection that I think get lost in the, they're just a narcissistic asshole and they're projecting that.
Oh yeah, this is another one of those, 50-cent words that, in my opinion, a lot of projectors like to project. It's just so true. Like, you're a projector. Here's the deal. Anytime you're like super, obviously there's nuance to this, right? But if you're just so focused on everyone else and blah, 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 that is you projecting. Like, what's that? Your triggers are your mirror to what you need to heal. Like, this is it. This is baseline. And we've never talked about projection. So it's really interesting to kind of dive into this, because this is something, again, that we all do, including myself. I just gave you a real life example. And so then it's like, okay, I know this about myself. Why was I doing that? Then I had to unpack that and go, okay. And that's how you transmute that energy, right? But let's dig into this a little more.
Yeah.
So projection often shows up as an emotional reaction that doesn't match the situation. All right. So let's say you bring up something small to someone and the response is explosive, or you offer neutral feedback and they feel attacked. Those people just feel attacked with everything, right? They just cannot have any kind of like real honesty within themselves. You set a boundary. How many people have done this? You've set a boundary and then all of a sudden you're the controlling one, right? So the intensity behind that is the clue with projection. When someone overreacts, it's often because you touch something they already feel shame about internally. End of story. Like, that's just what it is. You can say to someone, I feel hurt that you canceled. And then they say, you're needy and you're dramatic, right? This is like, wait a second. No, I was just sharing with you something like, and kindly, right? Not like, hey, motherfucker. And then it's just always projected back onto you.
You're really touching on some of the nuance of it, because we're only talking about one piece of it, and we'll get into some other pieces. But what you just hit on is so critical, with being able to really understand, how did I come into this situation?
Oh, yeah.
Because if you come into us, if it's me and Johnna and we're talking and she canceled last minute, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you always canceling last minute? What are you doing? And she reacts to that. Well, I didn't come at it in a way. And then I'm like, oh, you're just projecting.
Yeah.
Because you reacted negatively to me attacking you.
Yeah, that's the part of this podcast that I'm nervous about, right? It's like everyone's going to walk around and be like, you're projecting, blah, 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 as you're projecting. That's
you're
why.
being
That's a real thing. So anyway, go for it.
So it's really important. Excuse me one sec, sorry. It's really important that you come at it from that direction. And when you do and you see that, then you can realize, okay, that's something in that person because of their reaction, because of the level of the intensity of how they reacted to a seemingly innocuous statement or comment or anything like that.
Right. And even if they overreact and it's a big thing, right? I mean, that's also projection.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's so difficult to chickadee check yourself before you wreck someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to just, it's so hard and such a different level to check yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're speaking into. That's what Elevated Life is about. And so, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I already feel like with what we've said, it might be difficult to recognize it when it's projection or when it's just, because people just overreact sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're not projecting.
Sure. I mean, there's like, with everything, there's a lot of nuance, right? We're giving you guys like the Reader's Digest version of projection.
Mm-hmm.
If this is something you want to dive deeper into, then do that. We have done that, but we're not going to sit and talk for 3 days and whip out textbooks on how to, boil it down, right? You have to use your intuition and, to guide you in this.
It's something to keep in mind, though, as you're looking at this holistically with your life, whether it's for other people or, like we'll get into in a minute, for yourself. People who are projectors, it's a pattern.
Oh, totally.
It's something. So if it just happens once, like, oh, you projector.
Yeah.
But when it's the person that's always accusing somebody else of lying, always thinking, you're going to leave me because of whatever reason, there's always the jealousy. It's that repeated pattern of finding those things in other people.
Yeah.
Once you recognize that, you're like, oh, okay.
Totally.
Now, this isn't
Repeated
just
patterns.
an isolated incident.
Yeah.
This is someone who's projecting whatever that aspect may be that, could potentially need to dig into that a little bit more.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, the person, the person that everyone's jealous of me.
Mm-hmm.
That's, so big. Oh, they're just jealous of me. Oh, they're just jealous of you. No, you're insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like you said, when it's the pattern identification, right? I have been blessed with that skill. I have, and I'm so grateful for it in my intuition. So, or you think you're better than me, but no one No one actually ever says. See, no one can make you feel a certain way. They can't. You make yourself feel that way. So you're trying to make me look bad when you just are asking a question, right? Like the repeated theme tells the story. Like Clint said earlier, if this randomly pops up and there's not a pattern, right, within yourself or identifying it in others, because what I'm going to tell you with projection, with triggers, with narcissism, with anything that we have ever talked about, if the very first thing you start thinking of when you hear our podcasts on these topics is other people, that's an issue. Okay, that's a pattern right there. That's you projecting because you don't want to look at these things within yourself. So the very first thing that you should be thinking of, like seriously, and this has taken time. I don't want to say that, my whole life I always was just like, oh yes, me. No, there was a huge swath of time where I was like, you're this, I was a master projector, right? Just like the best quality projection system. And it took the dismantling and again, the holding up of the mirror to now be at a place where I'm like, this applies to me first. And then this is how I create my circle, right? With identifying these patterns, who gets access, who doesn't. And now I feel like a judo master just dealing with people every day. I mean, I can see where people are projecting all over themselves. And it's not from a place of judgment. It's always from a place of compassion because I know that they are insecure. They haven't dealt with their things and they need help in that, which is why we do what we do, right? At the end of the day, that's why we do what we do. So, go, sir.
Okay. One place where you can really see this in real life, I guess, and we've kind of touched on some of this, but you see it a lot in arguments, whether it's in any sort of relationships, in marriages or any sort of relationship where you're going to be hitting a little bit deeper level of a conversation. And I'm sure you all have had some version of the, whether you're talking to a spouse or a close friend or somebody and you're like, I didn't really appreciate what you did, or you said you were going to do this thing and you didn't follow through with it, and that was a bummer or whatever, and then their instant response is, well, you didn't do a thing, or remember when, it's such a trope with married fights, and then all of a sudden you're talking 15 years ago when you didn't rinse a plate,
right?
Something like, okay. That is projecting something deeper going on with the conversation that's happening right now.
Right. And the reason why we want to give you guys these real life examples is because I don't want these theories floating out there of like, oh, right? We want to show where this manifests. So instead of, this is a healthy person, right? A healthy person's response to that would be, you know what, you're right. I'm going to fucking own that. And I'm sorry, right? I had a moment. I got distracted. Whatever. You just own it because turns out we're human and we all screw up. But everyone, again, likes to go into their repertoire of masks and put it on and then, no, it's all this out here. It's definitely, not this in here within my own heart.
Right.
So when you project, it protects your identity, your self-image, your social belonging, your moral superiority, your emotional stability. All of these are the masks that I keep saying that we put on, right? It's so much easier to do that than to say, yeah, I'm jealous right now. I feel insecure. I want some attention. I'm angry. I'm competitive because I have low self-esteem. I mean, let's be honest. Who wants to be like, oh yes, I'm constantly thinking that girl thinks she's better than me, and everyone else, and oh, she's so arrogant or whatever, instead of saying, I really suffer from low self-esteem and self-worth because I was told I was a piece of shit my entire life. I mean, who wants to do that, right?
Sure.
I mean, obviously the people that listen to this podcast do, which is why we talk about these things. But these are things that we've all gone through. If we could admit it and take off the mask, we've all felt these feelings before. Like, no one has arrived, right? Ascended. That's just not, we're all here in the 3D still.
And just to reiterate, we all still feel those feelings.
Yeah.
Again, go back to the story that you told at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing thing. But just like with so many other tools that we talk about, or mechanisms of growth and elevating yourself and all those things, excuse me, it all turns back inward, and the key is recognizing it and then doing something about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how to identify when you're projecting? You need to ask yourself, what traits in others irritate me the most? Again, your triggers are your mirror. I forget the key phrase that's like all over. But when someone triggers you, that is like, oh, right? This is what irritates me the most. This is my issue. It's not them, it's mine. Where do I feel morally superior? Right? Oh, I'm so much better than them in this. Blah, 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 blah. What behavior triggers disproportionate anger? Right? Where you just fly off the freaking handle. What accusations do I make repeatedly to other people? What do I secretly fear being seen as? Right? Projection lives where there's no where there's emotional charge.
That's a thing that makes it really difficult. Is it lives where there's an emotional charge. So the things that are going to be the most emotional to you are the things that you're projecting about the most.
Yeah.
Which means they're going to be the hardest to deal with.
Yes.
If you're neutral on something, you're probably not projecting anything.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because, boy, that'd be easier to take care of.
No kidding. No
but
kidding.
So you're when you recognize those things and realize they are emotional components of my life, now I have to deal with those. That's where this work gets fun.
Yeah. So how to transmute projection? First of all, don't shame yourself for this, guys. Okay? Because again, we all do it. Whether you want to admit it or not, we all do it.
It's such a key part of so much of what we do. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
That phrase, that concept, I hesitate to say it's impossible, but it's virtually impossible to do the things that we talk about. Various different, whether it's, not minor, but things like fitness, things like nutrition and those components, or these way deeper, dealing with being a projector or what that means. It's going to be almost impossible to grow in any of those situations if you don't give yourself grace.
Yeah, you can. Like, you have to forgive yourself first and realize that you're human. We've gone over this before. These are the traits that you've learned. This is passed down, societal, generational, trauma, all of the things, right? So when you can identify that, though, like, honestly, be honest with yourself, right? That's and then get curious, right? So pause. Instead of reacting outward, you're going to have to go, okay, that just really triggered me. I want to project on everyone else. You didn't, I didn't, no. Go in. Go in. Like, ask, is this in me somewhere? Where is this in me? What am I doing here? Find the root emotion behind it, right? Own the feeling. Own the jealousy, the insecurity, the anger. Own it. And then ask yourself, why am I angry about this? Why am I jealous? Why am I being competitive? Why am I trying to one-up this person in my conversation all the time? Like, what does that come from? And then get to that root cause, right? Ownership, it dissolves the projection, right? So in my case, which I, had this epiphany about my projection, and I do this with not just with Clint, with everyone. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? In all different types of situations when I'm dysregulated. Right? So now it's like, okay, I'm going to own this. I'm going to own that I'm not okay right now. Why am I not okay right now? Why am I feeling jealousy, fear, whatever it is that I'm feeling? Is it real? Is this a real thing that's actually happening? Am I creating it in my mind? What does it stem from? And then guess what? It's like freedom, right? Because I can be honest with myself and say, okay, I'm projecting this onto him, her, whoever, because I'm feeling insecure or scared about this. This is why. Now my brain is quick to it. We talk about building muscles, right? So my brain can calibrate pretty quickly.
Yeah, the way this kind of manifests, I guess, in me, I mean, in obviously a lot of different ways, but one that comes to mind is overreacting to things. So it's that same process. Something totally minor and insignificant happens and I get pissed. Then rather than just reacting to that pissed offedness, which sometimes feels good in the moment. Like, okay, the anger is real. The frustration, the emotion that's driving that overreaction, that's a real emotion. And so if you can get it out in that moment, it feels great. Like, okay, this bubbled up in me and I got it out. Except it wasn't directed at the thing it needed to be directed at.
Right.
Which is probably internally.
Yeah.
So then still being able to pause and think, okay, is this situation, does it warrant this reaction?
Yeah.
Most often, no. So then it's that exact same process. Okay, what am I really upset about? Where is this anger really coming from? And it might be something directly related to that minor incident, or it might be something totally different.
Yeah.
It might be, I'm super pissed off about this other thing that I haven't dealt with, and I didn't even realize it until right now when that emotion that's just knocking at the door all the time, it finds a crack in one of these instances, and now I get to project all over something else instead of dealing with the emotion.
Absolutely. But growth, which is what we're talking about here, requires you to integrate it, to walk it out. Right? So when you reclaim your projection, right? When you can really identify it and take off the mask and look in the mirror, do all the things, you gain what? Self-awareness. Something we talk about in a 50-cent word that everyone thinks that they are, but most people have not done the fucking dirty work that it takes, right? You gain
and I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's a thing because we live in this world a lot and we hear that a lot. And just for everybody listening, that I really want to identify when we talk about doing the work.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just like, oh yeah, doing work. Okay. What the fuck does that mean? This is one of those things.
It. Yeah.
This is exactly one of those things that this is doing the work. It's that pausing and introspection and figuring out what's going on. So when we talk about that, this is part of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Instead of reacting, you go, why did I get this heightened emotion? Where is this living in me? And then having the capacity to admit that it does fucking live within you because you've just tried to puke it out onto every other motherfucker. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
So in that, you gain emotional empowerment too, right? You stop being triggered by everything. The person that is triggered by every fucking thing is a projector.
Mm-hmm.
They are a fucking... What's the best projector out there that you can buy? Like, seriously, they just are... That's what they're doing. They're triggered by everything all the time, and this might be you. And I'm sorry to say it, but you're a projector, but you can work through it.
That's the cool thing.
Yes,
yeah.
It is the cool thing, right? You also start becoming harder to manipulate. And you can start being, remember in the Matrix where Neo was like, "Mwah, mwah, mwah, mwah," with all the bullets? I talk about this all the time. Mm-hmm. That's what you become in the emotional world in dealing with people. Mm-hmm. You're just like, nope, didn't touch me. No. Not a fake, nope, that didn't touch me. Not to put on my mask and pretend like it didn't touch me. But literally, you're just like hyperspeed moving. And you also become safer to be around, right? People do not feel safe around people who are constantly fucking triggered and everything is everyone else's fault and all this outward stuff. Right? The ego pushes it out onto everyone else all the time. You become a safe haven for people, right? Your frequency changes. Your energy, we talk about frequency and energy, it levels up. That's what happens, right? But you have to do the work, which is what we just talked about, what Clint just went into detail about. This is the work that we're talking about. Going inward. I say it every single day. Every time we post a reel on TikTok or Instagram, when we talk on the podcast about solutions, it is all within. And this is a really good place to start, in my opinion. Like, if you can be honest about how you're projecting and then take the time to go, what is this actually stemming from? Am I jealous? Am I envious? Am I feeling insecure? Do I have a fear of being seen? So I'm jealous that other people are being seen. Whatever that is. And we're all human. We all have those things. It's okay. Anyone who pretends like they're perfect is living in a delusion. We're all working shit out. Every single one of us. And this is, how you can work it out.
Yeah. And then once you do, the depths of your relationships, again, whether it's, a marriage or significant, spouse, that kind of a relationship, or friends, or in business, or with your family, or whatever those relationships are, when you can get through this and you reclaim all those things that Johnna was listing before, the depth of your relationship is just, it's incredible, because you cut through all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Really. Then you can have real conversations, because, when you go through all this and you've done the work and you've got the tools, you're still going to have moments in, if we're just talking specifically, let's say about a relationship with a significant other, you're still going to have moments of disagreement. You're going to have moments of arguments for whatever the situation is. But when you can both have enough of the tools to be like, okay, let's just take a breath here, take our pause. Let's figure out what's really going on. Are we really upset about who didn't clean up the kitchen? Or is there something deeper that we need to deal with?
Yeah.
Because there's probably, maybe there's not. Maybe it legitimately just is the kitchen. Like, dude, just fucking help.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, done. But maybe it's something a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And then you can get to that deeper thing. And then that's the connection that you can build. It's just, it's incredible once you do it.
And then you can walk around not offended by everyone as well, right? Because you can identify those things. You've identified them in yourself first, and then you can identify them in others. And because you have done the work and you know how fucking hard it is, that's where the compassion comes in. Because you're like, oh, yeah, that's fucking hard work.
I get it, yeah.
Yeah. I know what that's like, right? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, that's the progression of dealing with projection. I had to say that slow
Nice
because
one.
I was going to mess up. I hope that this podcast was helpful. I hope that it triggered you if you are on your healing journey, because that's good. Your triggers are your guideposts, and it triggered me. Honestly, I mean, anytime we do podcasts on emotional things or whatever, it's like, oh, should I even be talking about this? I mean, and that's why I opened up with, hey, here's how I projected, because we're human and we're trying to do better every single effing day, and you never arrive. You just don't. And anyone who says that they've arrived is a liar. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
And so we're constantly working on that. And as we work on it, we want to share those things with you so that you can grow right alongside us. So anyway, thanks again for listening.
We'll talk to you soon.